Thank you. And that was The Dot by Peter Reynolds. Now, as we mentioned earlier, remember, children are to stay in the sanctuary until after the offering. Thank you.
Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Essa, for your performance and sharing a story of creativity with us. And now we welcome a different form of creation, which is a testimony of what this community means. And I invite forward Christine, if you would come up and share your story with us.
Good morning. My name is Christine Gericke. My pronouns are she, her. Do you hear me all right? Okay, once again, my name is Christine Gericke. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a white, fair-skinned woman of middle age, average height, and I have salt and pepper hair and glasses on my nose. My husband Thorsten and I joined Beacon in January last year. We came into the sanctuary for the first time after the October 7 attacks on Israel for a vigil for Palestinian victims in Gaza. 10 years ago, we moved to Summit from Munich, Germany, with our two daughters, then 16 and 12 years old. I was raised Catholic, and we were part of a vibrant church community in Munich, run by the Benedictine order, famous in Bavaria for brewing excellent beer, which is true. But I left the church when the first sexual abuse cases in Bavaria came to light, and responses felt very inadequate. Back then, I felt a strong need to step away from organized religion. At that time, I turned toward a spiritual teacher and global community who focused on understanding and healing ancestral and collective trauma, while being anchored in a more essential, inclusive form of mysticism. As a German with partly Jewish roots, I felt a deep resonance with this work. The work of activism I'm called to is more inward. It calls us to witness our inner world, our conditioning, and to transform, to act authentically in the world. It does take courage to slow down in community, to feel unconditionally, to share and be held in a witnessing container. I believe we are all part of one interconnected nervous system, held in love. Joining Beacon coincided with a personal health crisis. I was diagnosed with chronic lymphatic leukemia, CLL. It has been a journey, and I'm well, thanks to modern medicine. And my partner, Thorsten, who works in cancer research, has been my greatest source of strength and love. And I received generous support from members of Beacon and others, whose words of kindness and care touched me deeply. What I appreciate about Unitarian Universalism is a movement beyond traditional male-dominated religious structures of worship towards choosing the path of embodiment, living the values of love, justice, transformation, and interdependence. I'm both humbled and inspired by the work you do in the field of social justice that is radiating into the world from this beacon. I'm grateful to be a member of this beautiful community. It's wonderful to find like-minded souls and new friends so close to home. Thank you.
Christine and Torsten, we are most grateful that you have brought a portion of your journey here with us and your story. Thank you so much. And it is with that overflowing gratitude that is only possible through and with community that our morning offering for the many ministries of this congregation will now be taken up. Thank you.
Sing with me. We're going to sing it in the air. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. I hear singing in the air. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. There must be over my head, I hear gladness. Over my head, I hear gladness in the air. Over my head, I hear gladness in the air. Over my head, I hear gladness in the air. There must be a God. You sound like angels, so we're going to sing angels. Come on now. Over my head, I hear angels. I hear angels in the air. Over my head, I hear angels in the air. Over my head, I hear angels in the air. There must be somewhere. There must be a God somewhere. There must be a God somewhere.
All of our children and our adult guides staying with us through our offering. And now you are invited to join Jermaine as you continue in your small groups while Vicki offers us a recessional.
morning, Beacon. I'm Maureen Irwin, and I am very honored to serve as one of your Beacon chaplains. So many offerings here at Beacon. My pronouns are she, her, and for a visual image, I'm 5'2" and holding, confirmed this week. I have grayish, brownish, reddish hair, and I'm wearing an orange shirt, white sweater, and I have on this maroon sash that chaplains wear to designate our chaplain team. We are trained to listen deeply and non-judgmentally to members of our community in the highest of confidence. So many offerings here, and one of my favorites is the community groups. I joined one just as soon as I joined this congregation from First U in Plainfield. This month's theme is imagination. One question that caught my attention last week was, is imagination a result of evolution or simply a result of creation? Sounds Darwinian. When I read that question, I thought, how can we create without evolution? Even at its most basic, it took 7 days, right? But any artist, writer, painter goes through many painful evolutions and crafting to reveal the creation that's waiting to come forth. I learned this week in a reading that when a butterfly makes a chrysalis, we used to think that the caterpillar grows wings and emerges as a butterfly. But now we know that it's something much more profound. The caterpillar dissolves into a gelatinous mass, and some of the cells are related to the old caterpillar, while others are entirely new. These new cells are called imaginal cells, and they hold the image of the butterfly that emerges. Some of the original cells struggle against the change, never did know what was going on in there, right? Trying to stay like the old caterpillar, but eventually the imaginal cells begin to build the wings of the butterfly. The process is not easy. It's not always successful, and I suggest that it's applicable to us humans. Things fall apart. There can be tremendous suffering in the process. But if we listen deeply, we can learn to let go. Perhaps to really let go and let a gelatinous mass occur within us. To allow the process of chrysalis and our imaginal parts to come forth. It requires us to shift from fear and separation and to rejoin the web of life in a new way. Nature keeps showing us amazing things, and no matter what we do, it will keep renewing itself in spite of our efforts to keep it under that sidewalk. Shoots will show up. So this month is Mental Health Month, perhaps a time to acknowledge that in addition to taking care of our bodies, we need to take care of our emotional health. So if you feel like you're going through a chrysalis, you recognize it, or you're resisting it, or you want to help it along, consider calling a chaplain for a deep listening. The other function of our chaplaincy group is to facilitate our weekly candle lighting. Today, our first candle is to light the candle in honor of our veterans who've served our country. My dad, my uncles, your dads, your uncles, maybe your moms, your aunts, your grandparents, brothers, sisters, cousins, and for all of the families and loved ones who have suffered so deeply because of the wars our country has fought. We light a second candle for all those serving or suffering in other countries and lands, including Ukraine, Gaza, Israel, Sudan, Yemen, and all over the world because of war and conflict. And we light a candle for Rosemary Wright in our congregation as she recovers from a bad fall in rehab. May the one who hears the cries of the universe bring solace and peace to our hearts. Please come forward to light a candle in this sanctuary or in your sanctuary at home for the joys and the sorrows in our hearts today.
Ready for our meditation? Good. All right. So, let's begin by settling in any way that feels comfortable to you. Settle into your seats, into your standing positions. If there's some of you up there laying down that I can't see, enjoy that. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Let your hands rest in your lap, unclenched or wherever, and let your breath slow and deepen. Breathe in possibility, and breathe out distraction. Breathe in wonder, and breathe out judgment. Now, gently bring your attention inward to that sacred space where imagination lives. Not the place of fantasy or avoidance, but the place of wonder, of creativity, of the self you are still discovering. Each of us carries many lives within us, not just the life we are living, but lives dreamt, deferred, or longed for. What if you could live 5 other lives? Let the question land gently in your heart. If you had 5 other lives to lead, what would they be? Would you be a forest ranger, a novelist, a baker of warm and delicious bread in a quiet village? Would you dance on stage, study the stars, sail the open sea? Let the images come without judgment, without needing to even make sense. Follow the thread of what delights you, what calls to you, what you thought you forgot, but somehow always loved. Let curiosity rise, not to interrogate, but to invite. What part of you dreams of this life? What part of you is asking to be heard? Maybe it's a piece of your past, an unmet longing, a hidden hunger, a quiet hope. Let your imagination open like a flower and feel, if even for a moment, what it's like to live that other life. Now, gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Inhale potential. Exhale limitation. And as you return to this room, to this time, to your one precious unfolding life, ask yourself, what do I see when I imagine a better world, a better community, a better me? And from among those imagined lives, which one calls to me now? What truth does it whisper? What might it ask of me? Let's take a few quiet moments now to reflect on these very questions. Now, when you're ready, breathe in, breathe out, and open your eyes. It's time to share with me those hidden lives, those imagined lives that you had. Me, I always get caught in wanting to believe that I could be a million different things, want to do million different things. I mean, I'm wanting to be a minister and also get my PhD and also travel and also get married in the future and also do all sorts of other things. So who has a life they want to share with me, that potential that's within you? Come on, don't be shy. Raise your hand.
tell us that life.
I imagine a life where I don't have to worry about whether we have food all month and that I can be financially independent. I mean, that's a good life to imagine, I think.
That's a life that I hope becomes reality, for sure. All right, Nancy, tell us your life.
Okay, I'd like to be a baker and figure out how to make vegan, gluten-free bread that tastes good. And
Good luck on working on that impossibility. Okay, who's next? Who's next? Over there, over there. Okay.
I imagined a world where instead of majoring in ecology, I decided to go into music and I focused on my singing career. I don't think I want that, but it was interesting to think about.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Here we go, here we go, here we go. Tell us your life.
As a music teacher now, aspiring to go back to school and get a doctoral degree, imagining a life where I can actually do all of that and teach and also travel and do everything else that I want to do at the same time.
Unbelievably relatable. All right, here we go. Bob, tell us your life.
I'd like to be a practitioner of Ayurvedic proprietary medicine.
Very cool. Very cool. Combining the ancient and the modern there. Margaret, please.
I actually do have one more dream. I actually applied to the PhD program at Yale in sociology because it's fully funded. My entire family could live there for free while I get my PhD. And it's in sociology. I already do change management, which is psychology and sociology. And I'd like to go fix the country by training the next generation of change managers to go out there and fix everything. Because I'm 50, I don't have enough time to go fix everything, but I could teach everybody else how to do it.
I love that. I love that. Jealous of your fully funded program. All right, anyone else? Anyone else? Yes, yes, yes. We'll do these two, and I'll share a little bit of my own hidden life. Tell me your life.
I want to be a full-time artist where I could just disappear into art for days on end and my family won't be sad and we can pay all our bills at the same time.
God, the dream. All right. And you, your life.
Whenever someone asks me this question, I always dream of a life in musical theater.
Fantastic. Dream it and be it. Well, I'm a big Star Trek fan, so every time I'm watching an episode, I've been showing a friend Strange New Worlds. And every time I see an episode, I just imagine, man, wouldn't it be great to explore the stars, make all sorts of new friends, you know, have great adventures and everything like that. But don't let go of any of that potential. Don't let go of any of these lives. It could all still happen. But also, even if it can't in any sort of practical manner, dreams are important to hold on to. You have all some hidden potential. Unlock it.
Thank you, Pablo. Well, my 5 other lives beyond being a minister come quickly to my mind. Justice organizer, hill country poet, alternative healer, maybe a witch, small town chef, and community college professor. Some days I imagine these other lives in their full shape. How I set up a small restaurant on the coast of Maine where I am famous for my ricotta blueberry pancakes. Now some of us are hungry.
I want those.
And maybe Nancy can join me and figure out how to make them gluten-free and vegan. Or I'm tucked away in some corner of a library pulling from a liberation theologian's work for the next lecture for my fall class in a small town in upstate New York, where the students studying religion are really engaged and choosing to take those classes in theology because they know how much it matters. They will be local liberation theologians in mid-sized congregations and hospital chaplains, and they relish every quote I bring them. I hardly ever imagine past lives. Not that there's anything at all wrong with that. Instead, I think of alternative paths in the here and now. As Stephen Covey instructs, live out of your imagination, not your history. Perhaps if I have had other lives, they are still within me, but it is the imagining of some other than what is that captures my heart these days. Which is not to say I am all unhappy with my job. This would be an awkward moment to tell you if so. It is actually the opposite. Imagining other lives in this very lifetime allows me to love my vocation more deeply and to wonder about the full expression of who I am. When I first began preaching, I never extended my arms beyond the pulpit. And so one of my mentors told me, use up all the space you have. Why are you confined in this little box you've made? And I think our imagination is kind of like that, right? It gives us room to stretch beyond the box somehow we've made or someone else made for us long ago. This ability to imagine matters to our reality, too. It's not only for fun, and fun in and of itself has power. As Thomas More tells us, we tend to consider imagination too lightly, forgetting that the life we make for ourselves individually and for the world is shaped and limited only by the parameters of our imagination. Things are as we imagine them to be. Think of all the systems, and society itself is the creation of some people's imagining, perhaps not our own. To be fair, not all imagination will take root and grow into reality. Artists will tell you, I'm sure I have a few artists in the room today, a lot about their failures and losses before a piece of art emerged from the many pieces that just didn't make it. Writers leave a lot on the editing floor, and I can tell you I have many dead poems scribbled into my journals. Yet every now and then, after dozens of poems that don't make the cut, there emerges something with meaning, with purpose, something that is really alive, that might even open up a new world that I didn't know I was capable of imagining. Of course, that begs the question of where our imagination comes from. Do we really create all of these ideas? Most religions have a creative department in their religion. It's often called mysticism. This edge of creative force is often, not always, but often inhabited by the musicians in a religious tradition, the poets, those who allow their imaginations to extend even in those theistic traditions, the portrayal of God. Think of Rumi in Islam, who imagined God as a lover with humanity. Some racy material. Or St. John of the Cross, who envisioned his physical reality altered by levitation. These visions, even the word that we use for them, visions, envisioning, are the imagination not only inhabiting the mind, but also shaping reality. Because if God can be a lover, how might our lives be transformed in how we treat one another? But imagination, especially in a life that is heavily influenced by algorithms and created, prefabricated media, imagination in the context in which we are living and the time we are living, it takes practice. We have to develop our imagination, work on it. I love the advice of the writer Anne Lamott, who I once got to see an interview of her in person, and she produces an incredible volume of writing. And so the interviewer asked her, Anne, how is it? What's your method for writing? How do you produce all of this writing? What approach do you take? And she said, well, I have a very simple method, but it's tested and true. It's called the butt in chair method. We take time, many of us, for working out, for getting our daily tasks done, building a garden, cleaning the house, but we treat imagination often as if it arises in some untouched mystical gift or insight that only falls like a butterfly landing upon the chosen. It is true that some of us are more gifted than others with the ability to create. For example, you don't want me leading our hymns in song. But the conception of it, the imagination itself, that's not limited to anyone. And our universalism calls us to recognize that imagination is a gift within each and every human being. Like Essa with her dots from Peter Reynolds' story, The Dot, we can discover the power to create is available to all of us. And the practice of imagining just might be one of the most important things we can do right now. Amen? In the face of rising authoritarianism and technologically governed societies and economies, imagining the world as otherwise, it reclaims one of the most important pieces of being human. So keep imagining those other lives, beloved. Because perhaps after the scraps of the drafts hit the floor, you might try living a stanza or two for a day of the living poems. And you might just discover a whole new chapter waiting to unfold. So may it be.
Thank you, Dr. Robin, for that beautiful talk. Some say the walls between us stand so tall, but they don't see there's just one sun shining on us all. I say we each choose roads to call our own, 'cause none of us is traveling through this universe alone, and this circle just goes on and on. It began before us, it will be here when we're gone. Yes, this circle just goes on and on and on, connecting our humanity, joining me to you and you to me. Seasons keep spinning on the wheels of time. We stand, we fall, we travel up the mountains we will climb. Different dreams may color what we see ahead, but our lives are strong together on a common thread. Yes, this circle just goes on and on. It began before us, it will be here when we're gone. Yes, this circle just goes on and on and on, connecting our humanity, joining me to you and you to me. Yes, this circle touches everyone as it crosses every boundary underneath the sun. Yes, this circle just goes on and on and on. It began before us, and it will be here when we're gone. Yes, this circle just goes on and on and on. Someday you will come to see I'm joined to you and you to me.
Fantastic again. Thank you so much. You didn't imagine 2 sermons, did you? All right. Beloveds, today we turn inward and outward through the power of imagination. Too often we're taught to think of imagination as child's play, something we grow out of, something less than real. But I believe, and I think also our tradition affirms, that imagination is holy in a sense, that it is not an escape from the world, but a doorway into deeper truth. Now bear with me because I have been writing a lot of papers lately as the end of my first year of my PhD, but someone who's been on my mind a lot and in a lot of my papers is the theologian, mystic, and philosopher Henri Corbin, who gave us the term imaginal. Not imaginary, not made up, but imaginal. A realm of consciousness where the spiritual and the creative meet. In the imaginal, visions aren't distractions from life. They are revelations of life's deeper possibilities. This, I think, is where the soul speaks. And Julia Cameron in The Artist's Way, which inspired a bit of my meditation there, invites us into that imaginal space with a deceptively simple exercise. If you had 5 other lives to lead, what would you do in each of them? A scuba diver, a sculptor, a peace negotiator, much needed in these times, a jazz pianist, a shepherd. Whatever arises, she says, you write it down. What would your 5 lives be? Not what sounds impressive, not what others expect, but what lights up your inner sky. Now here's the deeper part. After naming those lives, Cameron invites us to choose one and ask, where did this longing come from? What part of me does it speak for? Is there a way to bring a piece of this life into the one I'm living now? And so this isn't just a playful exercise. Beloveds, it's soul work. Because every imagined life points to something truly real. A desire we've tucked away. A gift we've dismissed. A story we've told ourselves. A narrative we've built that we're not allowed to live. But when we interact with the imaginal, not just thinking about what we might do, but truly allowing those inner visions to rise, we unlock what I would call our endless and real potential. Not because we will go out and live all 5 of those lives, that sounds quite exhausting, but because in honoring them, we begin to recover parts of ourselves we've left behind. We begin to see ourselves not as fixed, but as fluid. Not as stuck, but still like a flower unfolding, blossoming. Curiosity plays a sacred role here. When we meet these inner lives, not with judgment, but with wonder, we ask ourselves, why this? Why now? Sometimes I think, and I love to imagine, I love to daydream. And sometimes these lives pop up for me, these new potentials. And I also think to myself, why this? Why now? Why in the middle of a 25-page paper, But it's good for us, and we need to invite it in, because we tend to invite other growth when we feel it, don't we? So let's invite this growth. Let's make room for becoming. This is theological work, my friends, because in Unitarian Universalism, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, not just as they are, but as they are becoming or wish to become. And imagination is part of that becoming. It is a spiritual muscle, and it gets stronger the more we use it. Like Reverend Robin was saying, sometimes we take some time for the gym. Sometimes we need to take some time for our imaginal gym as well. Work that spiritual muscle. If you long to paint, maybe start by walking through a gallery. We have a nice one up here with many dots. If you long to teach, offer wisdom to someone who needs it. If you long to live simply, perhaps there's a single room you can make a little bit more sacred, a little bit more simple, a little bit more as you imagine it. You don't have to change everything, but you can change something. Let these possibilities arise and bubble up in a variety of ways. And when you do, even something small, you are affirming that your longings matter, that your desires, your dreams, your imaginations, what you want, it matters. That your inner life is a wellspring of insight, not for yourself only, but it can be for others as well. That you are not done growing, and you can teach others that they're not done growing and developing and unfolding as well. Beloveds, the imaginal is not a fantasy realm. It is the birthplace of justice, art, compassion, and calling. All of these things are not physically here. We had to imagine them first. Think about that. Every movement towards healing, towards equity, towards beauty, towards justice, towards equality, began first at someone's sacred vision. So I ask you now and invite you to carry this question home with you. As I was saying earlier, what do you see when you imagine a better world, a better community, a better you? Even Dr. King imagined a world in which we could hold hands side by side, be equal with one another. We cannot let dreams die. Sometimes we have to bring them out and make sure they flourish. There are men, women, all sorts of people out there who, I have to say, lack some imagination and sometimes are making the rest of us suffer for it. And sometimes the best way to combat that is to bring out your own imagination. Perhaps even help them imagine how they don't need to despoil the world, how they don't need to oppress. But sometimes perhaps I like to think my little exercise of, well, I don't like this guy, but what did he want to do before he wanted to do this? I think of a president whose long goal in life, who caused a lot of harm to me and people I know, wanted to be a baseball commissioner. Wouldn't that have been much better? Or perhaps a president of another country with a Siberian coastline who wanted to be a lounge singer in Vegas. Wonderful dream, right? Sometimes we need to encourage people, because sometimes without that imagination, sometimes we crush those desires and wish to crush the desires of others. So let's not do that. Let's dream and encourage each other to dream. Let's imagine and encourage each other to imagine. May we not be afraid to dream. May we not be afraid to listen. And may we honor the lives within us, waiting to be lived. Thank you, beloveds.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful talk as well. All right, so appropriately so, I invite you all to sing Imagine, John Lennon's Imagine with us. I'll call out the lyrics. Imagine there's no heaven. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. No hell below. Above us, only sky. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people. Imagine all the people living for today. Living for today. Imagine, yes, that's right. Imagine there's no countries. No countries. It isn't hard to do. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine all the people living life in peace. That's right. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. But I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. And the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. You sound really good. Here we go. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer. That I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. But I am not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. And the world will be as one.
Now, good segue for all of us to be as one and hold each other's hands in beloved and warm fellowship together. There we go. Don't you stop. Get all together. That's right. Wonderful. Now, a benediction. May you all dig deep into yourselves and bring out that wellspring of wonder. May you all find what lies in your imagination to bring it out and make it into the real. May you never forget the potential within you, and may you always be united together as a congregation, as a community, and turn to everyone else and say, we invite you to join us and imagine a world where we can be as one. Thank you. And go out and have a lovely Sunday.